We're looking at 6-5, and the ideas we're going to look at today is really just one idea, but we're looking at two what we call intercepts, the X and the Y-intercept of a line. Okay, before I get to intercepts though, write down the word or the term linear equation. Everyone should write that down. And then I'm going to give you an example of a linear equation and talk about what it means to be linear. Okay, so the equation I want you to write down is y equals negative 3x minus 1. So write that equation down, y equals negative 3x minus 1. Okay, you should know what an equation is. An equation always has to have what in it? Equal sign. And for us, algebraic equations have variables, and so you're going to get a lot of that, but equation signs have to have equal signs. All right, the reason I call it a linear equation is this. If I were to graph my answer, which we're going to be able to do soon, what kind of shape should I get? Someone said it? A line. And have we dealt with lines already? Yes. So these are going to give me lines if I work them out well. And this is how we're going to start off because we haven't really dealt with the equations themselves too much except for a table. Go ahead and draw me a table and give me 3 subdivisions. We have the X and the Y values. And we're going to look at what we're trying to find here, what shapes we're going to get at the end. Okay, do you guys remember when you have a table and they gave you no numbers or they didn't give you any numbers? What numbers do I want you to pick? I want you to pick 0 and then something positive, something negative. So someone give me something negative value. Negative 1. All right, give me a positive number. Yes, positive 5. I'm going to go with 5 just because 1 is kind of small. You want to spread yourself out with that a little bit, so I'll go negative 1, positive 5, and 0. Okay, do you guys remember how I'm supposed to get these numbers? I'm going to use, here's a key word, it's going to be on your quiz. I'm going to use my function rule. Do you guys remember function rule? I'm going to use my function rule to come up with my y values. Okay, so if x equals negative 1, I'm going to substitute it there and find out what y is going to be. So who can tell me what negative 3 times negative 1 is? 3. 3 minus 1? 2. Y is going to equal 2 when x equals negative 1. So what should I put up here? 2. I got my 2 there. All right, then I'm going to try it out with 0. Now, does anyone know why I picked 0? Like, why do I choose 0? Actually, many reasons. You can just throw something out there. It may work, may not. Any reason? You know why I picked 0? I'll be honest with you. It's easy. It's very easy. I'm going to do this problem again. I'm going to put in 0. What's negative 3 times 0? You see how anything times 0 is going to give you 0? So I'm just making it easier. What's negative 3 times 0? 0 minus 1. Negative 1. So what do you put here? Negative 1. All right, and then what else am I going to do, you think? Instead of x, I'm going to put in 5. What's negative 3 times 5? Negative 15 minus 1. Negative 16. So I get my negative 16 here. I just use my function rule 3 times to come up with my y values. That's all I get. How many of you can do the function table? You pick your values. Right? Good. You just put numbers in, find out what the y's are going to give you. All right, great. What is negative 1, 2? Does anyone know what that answer represents? It represents an... Oh, wow. I'm glad you guys got an ordered pair. How many ordered pairs are up here now? 3. Okay. Remember what I said about the shape of this graph? What is it going to be? It has to be a line. So what I want you to do on the next screen is I want you to draw me a coordinate plane. And we're only going to graph 2 of those points. I want you to go 5 by 5 by 5 by 5. It's a 5 by 5 by 5 graph. It doesn't have to be perfect, but please don't make it sloppy. And then I want you to put the first point on that graph. So what was that first point in our table? Negative 1, 2. Okay, negative 1, 2. And just put a point where that negative 1, 2 is. And then what was the second point?
0, negative 1.
0, negative 1. So I'll put another point at 0, negative 1. Let's put another point there. And I only want you to put those 2 points on there because how far would 5, negative 16 go? A little bit to the right and then way down there. But what do you do with these 2 points? You guys remember? Connect them with a line. So we'll go ahead and do that. So we have our line here. And I'm going to do this, use your imagination, but you follow me here. 5, negative 16. Do you guys remember that point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Right here. Technically, if I do it well, what's that also going to form? That same line. So you see it does fit, but I didn't want you to have to graph that out there. Did someone gave me 1, positive 1. Do you guys remember that? Positive 1 on that table you wanted to use. I said no. What happens if you put positive 1? See if you can figure it out. What would you get if you put positive 1 for x? Negative 4. Positive 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here? Does that work? Okay. Because it's a line, it works out that way. Okay. I'm going to pick on someone. You guys are doing well, by the way. Paying attention. Josiah, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to give me this answer. I want it quicker than that if you can. Ready? This line, positive or negative slope? Automatic. How does he know it's automatically negative? How do you know that? Because it's going down. So it's got to be negative. Find me the slope. And you just count. You don't have to do the formula right now. We'll get to that later. Find me that slope.
When you're finding the slope, should it connect the two dots, or is it just when it gets?
Yeah, you're trying to find out, did you pick these two right here? Mm-hmm. So you're trying to say, all right, how much did I go up or down to get to this point? So I went down 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. And then how much did I go over left or right? I went to the right once. So your rise or your run is going to be, what's the rise? Negative 3. What's the run? 1. What's the slope? Negative 3. Josiah said it was negative. Is that a negative slope? Yes, mathematically it also works that way. Do you remember that example I made you do in your homework, number 28? I gave you another chance. What if I didn't have this point right here? This point was no longer there. Could I use this point and this point to find that slope? Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's negative 6, right? Then I go over 1, 2. That's positive 2. What do I end up with? Negative 3. It doesn't matter what points you pick. It doesn't matter what points you pick. In fact, these will work. All right. How many of you can find the slope if I give you a graph? Good. You could do this is what I'm asking for. Okay, ready? Alex, what's one reason I picked 0 for my x value? Remember what I said? It is very easy. But today, there's also another point. I want you to, you can draw a little arrow to this guy right here. And I want you to label it Y-Intercept. Y-Intercept. That's one of our new terms today. You may or may not have heard it, but now everyone's heard it. Okay, do you know why I call it a Y-intercept? Okay, look at the line. Where does my line cross the Y-axis? Right there, correct? I call it a Y-intercept. Does anyone know what the ordered pair is there at the Y-intercept? What's that ordered pair for that point? 0, negative 1. Good. 0, negative 1. Please label that 0, negative 1. That's my y-intercept. You're correct. You know how many times you found the y-intercept on these problems? How many tables have you done? 10? How many times have you used 0 as a number for x? 10 times? Say, how many times have you found the y-intercept? At least 10 times. Okay, but then there's another term. What do you think the other term is? A y-intercept is new. X-intercept. Does anyone think they know how to describe an X-intercept based on the y-intercept? What do you think, Phil? What do you think? X-intercept? That's weird.
Or like it has a 0 for the second.
Oh, okay. You're giving me more than I wanted, which is good. I want you to think of it as this point, and we'll draw an arrowhead. We'll call it X-intercept. And my graph is not perfect, guys, and neither is yours. But what would the ordered pair of your X-intercept be? Does anyone know? Want to take a guess at it? I'm not saying you're right or wrong yet. Alex has an estimate. Philip has an estimate. Drew has an estimate. I have 3 estimates. I want 20. Okay, 4, 5. Just give me an ordered pair. Okay, Darius, what's your order pair here? Just an estimate. And it's not going to be a whole number. It might be a fraction. Go ahead.
Order pair, it would be
Just guess.
0 and... Oh, wait. No.
Good. I'm glad you caught yourself.
Yeah, no, it would be... I don't know.
You almost had it. Okay, a couple of more bold people here. Good. Michelle? Okay, negative 1, 0 would be like right here. So it doesn't make it to negative 1 yet. So it's going to be like something close to that. Hudson? Okay, I'm going to go with that. Negative 1/4, 0. Write that down. How many of you would have said something else? Not negative 1/4, 0. What would you say, Andrew? Half. Negative 1/2? Anyone say something else? Negative 1/3. Come on, come on. Now, Philip, keep that. The reason we're coming up with these answers is because we can't really estimate it. We got to find a way to get it exactly. Okay? How do I exactly get the y-intercept? You guys know I make x equal 0. Do you know how I find the x-intercept? Make y equal 0. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to carve out a little space here. What was the function rule that this line is describing? Y equals negative 3x minus 1. Do you guys remember that? Right, it's there. All right, what should y equal if I'm trying to find the x-intercept? 0. And some of you, the light bulb should be coming on. What does this look like? An equation. What am I trying to find out? What does x equal? Do you remember how to work out these 2-step equations? Okay, I'm going to remind some of you, like, what did he just say? Some of you maybe get it. What's happening to x? First it's being multiplied by negative 3, then it's being subtracted with 1. What do you undo first? Add 1. So this is review, but you're going to see a lot here. Add 1 to both sides. You get 1 equals negative 3x. How do you undo the multiplication of negative 3? Divide by negative 3. Philip, what did you say? What was your ordered pair that you came up with? What does x equal here? What does y equal here? You know what the ordered pair for the x-intercept is? Negative 1/3, 0. That was the answer. Exactly. Now you guessed, right? Or did you just know it? Oh. Ouch. So Philip just pops it out just by looking at it. Why is it hard to get it exactly by the drawing? With my drawing. My drawings aren't that great. Where your look at your graph again. Does it hit negative 1/3, 0? Like exactly? Some of you might. Some of you are like, oh, that wasn't even close. But it's because our graphs are inexact. So how do we get it exactly? We work it out using algebra. Okay, so here, what we're going to do, I know, algebra scares you guys. We did this. Let's look at another function rule, another linear equation. Y equals 2/3 x minus 2. This lesson is about finding an x-intercept and a y-intercept. And then we're going to do something with that because that might not, like, what's the point of that? Well, we'll see in just a moment. Okay, how do I find the y-intercept? I make x equal 0. So this is what I'm going to do. Y equals 2/3 times 0 minus 2. I make x equal 0. If you need to write that down as a note, make x equal 0 to find the y-intercept, do that, because that's true. All right, what's 2/3 times 0?
0.
I like that math. It's easy. What's 0 minus 2? So what does y equal here? Negative 2. What's the ordered pair? Somebody help me out. I need an ordered pair. Say it right. 0, negative 2. Does order matter? Yes. If you put negative 2, 0, that's something else. That's an x-intercept, but that line's not going to cross that point. But anyway, how do I find the x-intercept exactly? Make y equal 0. So if you need to put a note here, make y equal 0, then do it, because that's what's going to happen every time. So y equals 0, and then I have 2x minus, 2/3 x minus 2. And I want to find out what x is. This is a throwback to our equation solving. What's happening to x first? It's being multiplied by 2/3 and then subtracted with 2. What do I deal with first? Add 2 to both sides. Add 2 to both sides. I get 2 equals 2/3 x. Okay. X is being multiplied by 2/3. You can undo it in one of two ways. You can divide both sides by 2/3, or you can multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to multiply both sides by 3/2. By 3/2. These cancel out, so I'm left with x, which is what I wanted. And then what's this right here? Isn't that like 6/2, which equals 3? What's the ordered pair for the x-intercept? Say it carefully and correctly. 3, 0. 3, 0 is the x-intercept. All right. Now, mathematically, I think you guys can figure this out. Maybe a little more practice, you'll get it down. I don't really see the use of it yet. I haven't shown you these, so it's kind of just figure out these ordered pairs. All right, this is what I want you to do. Somewhere where you have space, just draw a 3 by 3 by 3 graph. We're going to do this real quick. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, because we're going to put those points on a coordinate plane. Where would I put 3, 0? Where would I put 3, 0? From the origin, I'd go 3 to the right and stay right there. 3 to the right, stay right there. I'll emphasize that point. And then how would I get 0, negative 2? Starting at the origin, I'd go down 2. That's all I have to do is go down 2. What do I do with those 2 points? Connect them with a line. Connect them with a line. Okay, I think you can find an x and y-intercept if I really force you to do it. But what is an x-intercept even? Well, what does that even mean? It's where my line crosses the x-axis. What's a y-intercept? Where my line crosses the y-axis. Is that where it crosses the y-axis? That's a y-intercept. Is that where it crosses the x-axis? That's an x-intercept. Oh, cool. Really cool. Ready? I'm going to give you something else. I'm going to give you 15 seconds because 5 seconds just to think it through. And then a couple more seconds to write and some extra time if you need it. Get me the slope now. Go, slope. Now, go, 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 go. You have 8 seconds left. Sorry, took some seconds back. I meant 3 seconds. Now, what's the slope? Whoa, whoa, some of you nailed it. I thought I put too much pressure. Ready? From this point to this point. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Positive or negative? Why? It's moving upward. You can find the slope really easily when you get your Y and X intercepts. A lot of times you can do that. Mr. Ray, then why do we do it another? Why do we use a formula? What a great question. Look at these 2 points. Remember these? Could you find the slope using that point and that point? Absolutely yes. But did you know what that was? Negative 1/3. You're jumping like a third, going down to 1. That's a little bit rough. So the formula would help you out on that one. Okay. I want you to get it for me this time. Uh-oh. Wait, did I write that? That's 36. Yes, that's 36. I want the X, I want the Y-intercept, and I want them in ordered pairs correctly. I don't want the numbers mixed around because that gives you a different location. And we want the correct location. Okay. Henry, I'm stuck here. I'm kind of stumped. How do I find that X-intercept?
You replace the X with a 0.
Close. I want to find the X-intercept, make Y equal
0.
So let's make the opposite variable 0. And then solve for X. I totally forgot what he said, and I'm already at the Y-intercept. Matthew, what do I do to find the Y-intercept?
Y equals 3 times 0.
So what did you do? Like, how do you explain that to someone? Like, what did I have to do? Make
the X 0.
Make the X equal 0. Solve both of those. Get an ordered pair, and hopefully you're the correct ordered pair. How many of you find the Y-intercept to be the easiest one to find? Like mathematically, you just kind of work it out. Good. That makes sense. The X-intercept a little bit tougher because you're doing a two-step equation. How many of you like the Y-intercept better than the X-intercept? How many? Come on, be honest. How many of you like the X better than the Y? How many of you don't like either one? How many of you don't care? How many of you never vote at these little votes that I give? Awesome. Okay, I like Y-intercept, and so do you. Yeah, so do you, yes. So do all of you. You really do. Okay, I need help with the Y-intercept because I can't work this out on my own. I'm too nervous up here. Brad, what do I do?
You do 3 times 0 equals 0.
Mm-hmm.
0 equals 36.
Nice. So what do I get? Someone give me the ordered pair. 0, 36. Okay. That's the Y-intercept. Okay, the X-intercept, Jackson, I knew how to write it down. I don't know what to do from here, so help me out.
So you subtract 36 from
Last step. How do I get rid of that 3?
you divide 30 by 6.
And what do you end up with?
-12.
Negative 12 equals X. Someone give me the ordered pair for the X-intercept. Ordered pair. Negative 12, 0. I'm not making you graph that. Why not? Yeah, you had to go up to the 36. You had to go over to the 12, which is not awful, but it is harder to do. How many of you got those on your own? Good. All right, Sophie, how do you find the X-intercept on any problem? Make
The Y 0.
Make the Y equal 0. Eva, how do you get the Y-intercept?
X 0.
Okay, do you guys get that?
Since you both want to make them 0, then how come you don't do it like the same way?
Oh, good question. Because in both problems so far, the y was already by itself, so you just figure out what's this times this plus that. And on the other one, the x is not by itself, so you have to make it get by itself. So it's just the way it's written. And you could have different equations, but you put it the same way, and if you have to solve. If not, fine. All right, the first section, they're going to give you a graph. I mean, they're making it very nice for you on the first page, 183. And in about a minute, I'm going to help you out with number 2 on page 183. So once you guys get there, write the homework down. Goodbye, Swivel.